think another topic that I've noticed over the last maybe 12 or 18 months has been this kind of juniorisation of roles as well within asset management. And one of the interesting points that was actually highlighted in a recent Investment Association report was actually when you look at the age range of people working within the asset management sector. I think firms have done a very good job of getting people in at a very early stage of their careers, so school leavers and grads. Yep. Things tend to stabilise sort of in the middle of people's careers, but then there's this noticeable drop off once people get to the age of 45 and 60, particularly among women, interestingly. There's no kind of real sort of data that suggests why that's the case. It's just a noticeable trend. But I wondered if maybe you could talk a bit more about juniorisation of roles and whether it's still a trend that you're seeing within the hiring side of the market.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. And to your point, we don't have all the data, so I'm not going to try and make too much comment. I think our views come from the people that we meet and what we hear. But I think, post-COVID, there was a huge push for juniorisation. I think that's probably married with the well-documented challenges of the industry. So you would see roles, it was almost give the layer below a chance to step up. That also had an impact on compensation, and I think that has definitely continued through roles. There is definitely a preference in a lot of roles we work for to give that step up a chance, which I think is a great thing. But I think it has had an impact on senior people. Another trend that we have also seen, and I think this is an industry trend, is managerial layers that have sat across investment and distribution and also back office are tending to be less these days. So of course we still need leaders, but some of the positions of managers of a distribution team or managers of a investment team, some of those roles are going and are not coming back. I think interestingly, the industry pushed people into managerial roles of a distribution team or an investment team, and it's taken them away from clients or it's taken them away from investment. So I think for some of these people, in a negative way, it's a bit of a perfect storm. So juniorisation continues. I think interestingly, that is also married though with, to your point around geopolitics. There is we live in a interesting world. President Trump, tweeting and markets moving, tariffs, etc. So actually, sometimes having people who have seen different market cycles. Someone said to me the other day, if you're under 40, this is going back a few years, you wouldn't have seen anything other than a growth era. So actually, I do think people with experience, particularly from an investment perspective, who've seen different market cycles, inflation, etc., can be useful. But I think it doesn't get away from the fact that some of these stats. Interesting, in the IA report, I would have liked to have seen how that compares with 10 years ago. I'm sure the data's there, but again, I couldn't see it. And I think it probably leads to a question as well, what does that mean in reality for a group of well-educated, well-motivated, some people that we interview who have just turned 50 or early 50s, saying, well, what do I do now? What can I offer? I feel like I'm just getting started. I've got a huge wealth of experience here, but maybe the roles aren't there. So I think what we're seeing, and I've noticed the trend, and again, this is anecdotal evidence for the first time in the last couple of years, is people just doing completely different things. A portfolio manager I know has gone off to become a writer. A number of fund managers have retrained to become wealth managers. They've actually gone back to school to retrain. And some of these people quite late into their careers. Others have left the industry completely. And it got me thinking, what is the solution here? Because is it the fact that the industry will just continue to contract? Is it that the industry will continue to juniorise to an extent? So I think it's interesting to see, where this trend goes over the next 5 years. And beyond, because I don't have the answers, but it's certainly something that we see with less jobs, particularly at the senior level, and people thinking, I've got a huge amount to offer. So I think it's watch this space, but I don't know if you'd add anything.
Yeah, I think actually you're right. I think there's been a lot of emphasis actually on getting younger people into this sector and trying to almost reinvent the asset management industry, because it's previously been seen as very stuffy, white upper class kind of industry to be involved in. I think actually the IA and other organisations have done a good job of getting more people at the start of their careers in. I think what would be interesting is whether firms are doing more to keep that talent as they get into the kind of older age brackets as well. So what are the reasons why women in that age bracket, 45 to 60, are leaving? Is it because they're looking after older parents? Is it the childcare demands? Is it menopause? What is it that's driving women in particular to leave the industry at that age? I think it would be great if the sector came up with some sort of plan to keep that talent, because as you say, these are people that have lived through various points, market cycles, etc. They've got a wealth of experience to offer.
Absolutely.
So it's a shame that they are kind of dropping off and not coming back into the sector to use that experience, which would be valuable to a lot of firms.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the final point I'd say, I think it creates disillusionment among a number of people. So I totally agree. I don't have the answers. We don't have the answers, but I think it's something that the sector really needs to focus on.